Still, I didn't feel like a real lawyer yet. And I remember talking to one of my buddies, and he was like, after you win an attempted murder trial, you gonna really feel like a real lawyer. I was like, why attempted murder? I did a whole murder. Like, why would attempt murder be harder than a murder? And he said, because it's one extra witness. And that person is really mad that your client tried to kill him. What's up, y'all? It's Derrick G, Hamlin, attorney at law. And today I'm going to be talking about imposter syndrome. If you're a new attorney or a new professional, like anywhere, you're going to experience imposter syndrome, where you feel like you shouldn't be in a room, or you're a fraud, or you're not qualified to be where you are. And we're going to talk about why you feel that way and how to get over it, and how I got over it, I should say. So apparently about 70% of the population experiences imposter syndrome, right? So I still remember I graduated from law school, and I was like, no, I'm not a lawyer yet. I got to pass the bar. So I passed the bar, and no, not yet. I got sworn in. No, not yet. So I had my first case. I represented one of my friends in a child support case. And I still remember I quoted Tupac, and she looked over at me like, what? Like I was crazy. But then I brought it together, and she was like, oh, that was slick. That was nice. I like that. So I won my first case, got her, bunch of child support, and still didn't feel like a real lawyer yet. So I took a whole bunch of CLEs and, studied. And eventually I did my first criminal trial. Thank God it was with this older attorney named Bob, who was a goddamn beast. When I tell you, Bob carried us through that trial. He's just like, look, I'm going to ask questions first and just follow my lead. So he did about 80% of the work. I came in and asked my few little questions, and some of them were so stupid that I was like, oh my God, why did I ask that? That was so stupid. And we won though. And it felt like, when it was over, he shook my hand and was like, congratulations on your first win. How do you feel? I was like, I feel like I didn't do anything. You did everything. I felt like Bob was like, bop, 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 tearing him up. And I just come in an occasion and be like, little smack. But yeah, he complimented me on what I did well and told me some of the things I needed to work on. And I took that to heart, and I really so the next trial came in like, yeah, let's go. And I had my first trial by myself, and I won that case. That's my second case, my second criminal case. Then I won my third and my fourth. Won 8 trials in a row, right? I was like, I'm killing it. But I won't be a real attorney until I get to 10 wins. That's what I was telling myself. So my 9th case, my client was facing, they offered him, the offer was 18 months in jail. And he's like, man, I just got home from doing 2 years. I ain't going back to jail for no 18 months. Let's go to trial. I was like, yeah, let's go. All I do is win, son. Let's go. So I lost. And I was distraught. I was like, oh my God, I never lost before. I didn't know how to deal with it. It was devastating to me. So then the judge was like, I don't believe you did everything that they say you did, but you definitely did some of that shit. He didn't say shit, but you know what I'm saying. You definitely did some of it. So he sentences my client to 7 days in jail. It's on a Monday. And I'm like, oh my God, man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You about to go to jail for 7 days? Oh my God. Shoot. You want me to file an appeal? He's like, no, man. I just got home from 2 years. I could do 7 days with my eyes closed, standing on my head. He's like, I'll see you on Friday because I'm not even going to do the whole 7 days. I was like, wow. He's like, yo, you beat that. You did that. I was like, all right. But I still didn't feel like it. I felt bad, And one of the attorneys was like, was that your first loss? I was like, yeah, man. He's like, congratulations. You're finally a real attorney. Still didn't feel like a real attorney. So after that, I won a bunch more cases, probably like 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever. I got up to, 12, 13 cases. And I was like, you know what? I want to do some felony cases. But you know, I'd done like a class for felon, learn how to do. It was called Jury Trial 101. So I felt like I was ready to do felonies, but you know, they suggested, why don't you go do some juvenile felonies? And juvenile is the best place to get your feet wet for felony cases, because you're going up against all the detectives. You're going up against you see all the forensic people, so DNA, chemical, like gun analysis, drug analysis. You see all the expert witnesses, and you see all the police officers, how they testify, how they lie, you know, and you really get to, you know, hone your craft. So I started winning all these felonies in juvenile, kicking that butt, kicking that butt. And it got to the point where when I walked in, they were like, oh, Hamlin's here. We're going to have 3-4 trials in here today. And this was the clerk saying it, because they knew like I wasn't taking no mess. Like, either dismiss my case, give my client, you know, whatever, you know, give me what I want, or we're going to trial. So I took all these cases to trial. I was winning. And I was like, okay, I'm winning felonies, but I ain't never winning a jury trial. So I need a jury trial. So in Maryland, we have misdemeanors where you can get a jury trial. So misdemeanor jury trial. Some of them carry 10, 20 years, right? Like a second degree assault carries 10 years. You have the right to a misdemeanor jury trial. A lot of theft cases, all the drug, some of the, all the drug cases, misdemeanor drug cases, you can have a jury trial. And, you know, I have 2 degrees in chemistry, so I was killing them in the drug cases. Plus, I had all my experience from doing felony drug cases with juveniles. I was like, let's go. But even though I had all this success, I still did not feel like I was a real attorney, right? Besides, these are just misdemeanors. You know, I haven't won a felony jury trial yet, right? So I go in there and I had my first felony jury trial. I think it was like a armed robbery or something. Whoop their butt. I'm telling you, I don't know, man. I was on fire, and this was going on for like some years. I was killing. I was doing so well, and I started winning, you know, felony jury trials. But then something happened. I don't know what it was, but every time I won a felony jury trial, I would lose a misdemeanor jury trial. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm won like 8 felony jury trials, and between every 2, I would lose a misdemeanor trial. I could not figure out what was going on. So I don't know, maybe I was expecting, like, now I'm supposed to be winning everything all the time. I'm not a real lawyer yet because I'm not winning everything all the time. And, you know, what's next? What's next? It was always what's next. So I was like, okay, I've never done a murder trial. And, you know, trying to get a murder for the first time is very difficult. And the only reason I got it was right before the trial, one of the attorneys actually passed away. And in this emergency situation, they were like, we're going to let you try it. We're going to let you do it. If you need help, let us know. So I'm doing it on my own, but the public defender's office is helping me because it's actually a court-appointed case. So I won my first murder trial, and it was crazy. It was crazy. And it was a very difficult trial. It was 5 co-defendants. The other co-defendants were all found guilty. So it was crazy, but still, I didn't feel like a real lawyer yet. And I remember talking to one of my buddies, and he was like, after you win a misdemeanor, no, I'm sorry, after you win an attempted murder trial, you won't really feel like a real lawyer. I was like, why attempted murder? You know, I did a whole murder. Like, why would attempt murder be harder than a murder? And he said, because it's one extra witness, and that person is really mad that your client tried to kill him. I was like, oh, the victim. I didn't even think about how much harder it would be, you know, with a victim. And I'm not gonna lie, they were a lot tougher. They were a lot tougher, but I won my first attempt murder trial. I lost a lot of the counts that weren't murder, you know, so we knew he wasn't going to jail for life, but we knew he was going to get a lot of time from the gun charges and other stuff, right? But but yeah, it was crazy. So again, like I'm doing all this stuff when in all these cases, I really checked off almost everything on my attorney's list. Like I had a list of goals I wanted to accomplish as an attorney. And there were only like 2 or 3 left on the list. Like I want to argue at what they now call our Court of Appeals. Won a case at the Court of Appeals. I want to argue at our court, what they call now our Supreme Court. I won a case at the Supreme Court of Maryland. I'm like, God damn, what's next? Oh, I got to do a federal case. Won a federal case. I won a bunch of federal cases, actually. DC Superior Court and Maryland Federal Court. So, you know what I mean? I was like, still chasing it, still trying to figure out, you know, what I needed to do before I felt like I was that guy. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk a little bit about how I dealt with my imposter syndrome, right? I remember growing up, you know, you had people would always say, there's always going to be somebody bigger and badder than you. There's always going to be somebody that's going to kick your butt. And I wanted to be the biggest and the baddest. But unfortunately, that wasn't my path. You know what I mean? So when people would say that to me, in my mind, I'm thinking, if I lose, it's going to be because y'all are bigger. Because y'all are never going to be badder than me. I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I'm the baddest motherfucker out here, right? So I'm going to give y'all a few tools to coping, like how I coped with imposter syndrome. And I wish somebody would have told me this from the beginning, because I didn't even know that I was doing it the whole time. All right, so if you feel like a fraud or you feel inadequate, sometimes you got to just remind yourself of your skills, your wins, your accomplishments. And that's what I would do sometimes. I sit back and think, you know, this little mess, I know I'm going to beat this because I beat this when I was doing juvenile cases just like it. You know what I mean? Or, you know, this is not a big deal. I win murders all the time, right? Also, you hear people talk about affirmations. You know, I had built-in affirmations, like built into my whole life every day, built-in affirmations. So from the first time I created a business card, at the top of it, it said, I'm a beast, ask about me. And every day I gave out cards. I tried to give out at least a dozen cards every day, sometimes more. And every day I'm looking at this card that's reminding me that you are a beast. All they got to do is ask about you. You don't even need to talk to me about how nice I am. You can Google me, you can case search me, or you can ask about me and they're going to tell you how nice I am. Next thing is in my trial notebook. On different pages, I might have, so I'll talk a little bit about cross-examination eventually, but I have these cross-examination sheets I made. And at the bottom of my cross-examination sheets, it'll say stuff like, they ain't ready, or give them hell. Or one of my favorites was, who won it? Cause I got it. Yo, I was ready. Like, I read that and I get myself pumped up. You hear about, like, if you ever seen Floyd Mayweather before a fight, he's like, you the best champ, you the best champ. That's what we have to continually tell ourselves, especially when we feel like we're inadequate or we're imposter or we're going up against somebody that's just bigger, badder, whatever than us, right? Sometimes I listen to a clip from this Jerry Spence audio book where he talks about the winning case. And in there, he just kind of reminds me that, you know, it's my world. It's me and my client at the center of this universe. And this courtroom is going to revolve around us. Another thing I did that made me feel more secure in, you know, my skill set is just learning and growing. I used to download case law. And back then, when I first started, they had the Kindle readers. And you could email it to your Kindle and your Kindle could read it to you. But now you can do that on any computer. You can have them read case law to you. You can have them read motions to you. You can have a sample motion from somebody you know read to you. That you're like, okay, that's how I argue that. You know what I mean? You can have a transcript read to you. You can read a book on tape. You know what I mean? There's so many different ways to access extensive information that's going to make you a better attorney. I read novels. I read autobiographies. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I'll talk about that in another, I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's a podcast or a blog or whatever you want to call this. I'm going to do one specifically about how to, how to get better at being an attorney, right? Before I go, I just need to remind y'all, I'm a beast. Ask about me. And I need you to remind yourself that you're a beast too, right? Get so good that you can tell them, ask about me. I'm Googleable. Peace, y'all. I almost forgot that sometimes your clothes can be an affirmation. As you can see today, I have on my 8. Shout out to Lamar. And that's just to remind me that no matter what people say about me, I'm the best quarterback on the best team. And I'm a beast. Ask about me.